If I could describe UCR in one word, it would be revolutionary.
Pioneering.
UCR is courageous because UCR students are courageous.
UCR really gave me the courage to be myself.
I felt like I could find myself here, and if I felt like changing, I could, and still be accepted.
All of my work and things that I've done as far as queer activism goes, you kind of always start to hear the big names, and the one that I kept hearing was UCR. I got a chance to work at a place that I had seen as doing the work that I had always wanted to do.
The campus culture here at UCR, when I was here, which was the very late 50s and into the early 60s, had a very conformist, kind of middle class, button-down collar kind of feel to it. I have a feeling that my close friends probably knew. And if it had been socially acceptable to come out, I would have felt comfortable coming out to them. It was mostly kept quiet. That was just the way society was. We kept quiet about those things and went on with the dual lives that we were leading.
I first came here in 1977 to go to school, and at that point in my life I was not anywhere near out, but there was nothing. I mean, there wasn't even a gay and lesbian union. It really didn't even exist until a few years after that. In fact, the whole movement was just starting. A few years after I was done with school, I went on staff at the Women's Center. And during that time, the student who was one of the leaders in the Gay and Lesbian Union was gay bashed. That incident really kind of sent everything to a new level of awareness on campus.
The culture on campus in the 90s when we started the LGBT program, you have to imagine a much quieter campus and a more circumscribed culture here.
I was really worried about telling my track teammates and stuff. One of the first people I told was my coach. So I sat down in a meeting in his office and I told him, I was like, hey, I'm gay. And he got up out of his chair and he gave me a hug. It was the reaction I did not expect. I was able to really carve a niche for myself as a role model because there weren't too many out athletes back in the early 90s.
In the early 90s, there were a bunch of us in humanities, arts, and social sciences that were doing gay and lesbian themed courses. We looked at what kinds of specialties we each had in our different fields. We thought, it would almost be easy to put together an undergraduate minor in LGBT Studies. There was a lot of controversy, especially in the local legislators who tried to stop us. There was a sustained effort to get us to drop the idea, but on campus we had tremendous support. When it finally came to a vote in the academic senate, it was overwhelmingly approved. It is intellectual, interdisciplinary by nature, and it's a rigorous field of academic exploration that really holds up the highest standards of what the university represents. A research center in LGBT issues can be a lifeblood to a campus like ours. We are nationally, or even say internationally, recognized as a center for LGBT studies.
For someone who had come from a couple of institutions where it was incredibly difficult to find courses with LGBT content in them, I got to take 6 classes purely devoted to sexuality, gender, and issues related to that.
The fact that I went through the LGBT minor kind of set me up for the kind of work I'm doing now. So I ended up going to public health, children with homelessness issues like LGBT runaway youth. I work in HIV. I'm doing testing. I'm putting together these initiatives in New York to get lots of people tested.
Given that it was an interdisciplinary program, I got to take a little bit of everything, including English and history. That prepared me for a career in social justice, and it's been invaluable.
We formed our own on campus, just kind of hanging out on the grass in the commons area. It made perfect sense to me when I heard from friends that were still on campus that there's this amazing center, because it was exactly like the byproduct of what we all had been talking about, wanting, needing.
When we opened officially in 1993 with Stephen Shum as the first director, it was in this tiny space around 200 square feet. We moved twice since then. We provide support, education, advocacy regarding sexual orientation and gender identity for our campus.
I sit at the front desk of the center. I'm the first person that people see when they walk in the door, and I think one of my favorite things is being able to see and watch everything that kind of goes on and comes in and out of the office. There are certain teachable moments that happen in the space, and those moments where people are asking these really deep questions and they're asking them to a large group, and then you're seeing your other students educate other students. Day after day, sometimes I walk out of here, I'm like, man, I don't want to go home yet.
We've added a David Bennett Cyber Center, and we've grown our library to over 300 DVD films and almost 1,000 books.
There was this book called The Front Runner. It was written in the 70s, and it's about, a gay runner, a long-distance runner, and I identified insanely with that book. And I wouldn't have had access to that otherwise.
When I stepped into the LGBT Resource Center, I really felt like there was a place for me here.
That's really what they're there for, is to make these events so to help people be happy with who they are, to be proud, to find that community that everyone searches for while they're growing up.
The LGBT Resource Center was my family. It was my home away from home.
As the first person in my family to go to college, I found it really helpful to be able to come to the center and ask questions when I wasn't sure what to do.
We're not in a time where it's safe to be gay, but to have an actual place where we can see, this university supports my kind, and it's a safe haven. Kids that are coming out of the whole bullying from the high school, not knowing where to go other than a hotline, it's super important to have.
Spaces like these kind of create that extra safety net. I think without it, I wouldn't have been able to come out, and the people I met just changed my life for the better. And if I hadn't met them, I can tell you I wouldn't be sitting here before you today. So if I could do that for just one other student, I think that my work is done. I think I've reached my end goal.
So we created the Ally Safe Zone program.
The sign on the door that says Ally means that lesbian and gay students can find support there, and that's been a great model for other campuses.
We have an online peer mentoring program. It's one of the first of its kind.
There are trained peer mentors who will help people work through those issues.
We have amazing students at UCR who do amazing things, and sometimes it's really about them needing that encouragement. Imagine the impossible, now make it possible, go do it.
Happy birthday to you.
It allowed me to have panels to educate other UCR students and staff on LGBT issues or problems.
The LGBT Resource Center really helped me build self-confidence in myself to, step up and start an organization and take a leadership role.
We're in North Penland Hills, and this is the Stonewall LGBT and Gender Inclusive Hall. The student staff who are here have a strong commitment to providing a safe space for students who identify with this community.
I get so many phone calls about the programs that we do. How do we do them? How do we reach so many people? How did we get this policy passed here on campus? Trans healthcare benefits, different things, and they're asking because they want to know how to do it on their campus.
So the work that comes out of these centers and the people that spend the time and the energy and the extra energy to make sure that these centers are functioning, that everyone's okay, really makes a difference in the lives of students.
It's an investment in not just their education, but in their very well-being, their ability to continue to be a student. Sometimes our success comes down to not just are they staying in college, but are they still alive?
We have moved so far in 50 years, but the work is not done. We still have much to do. And the colleges and the universities, by their inclusion of gay and lesbian studies, offer the best hope for the continuance of a civil society in America.
UCR was somewhere that I was so happy to have graduated from, proud Highlander alum, and I would recommend any LGBT student coming here.
I found more community, more connection, more of a sense of belonging here than I had, up till the age of 18 in San Francisco. And that's something I can carry with me always.
And it makes me feel happy that I've come to an institution that accepts me. And it's not only accepting, but they're like, hey, you're you and you're awesome, which is great. It's great to be recognized for who you are.